So good. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Did you guys get a text? Okay, I see the numbers going up. Oh, now they're saying it's going now. Awesome. Good morning, everybody. Are we live on social now? Yep, there we go. Okay, so I have I think a really exciting morning for you guys. But first, I want to know what time is it where you're at right now? Because I'm in Puerto Rico. And in Puerto Rico, it's 1 o'clock. I've already hung out with my husband, hung out with my kid. Okay, Beth says it's 11. Cassandra, it's noon. Where are you? 9 a.m. Terry, are you in California or West Coast? Sylvia, 12. Liz, 11, 10. Vanessa, Texas. How's it in Texas? It's either hot or cold out there. Missouri, vegans, Wisconsin, 9 a.m. Christine, awesome. Okay, well, we have a great morning for you guys. Who was on the revenue challenge all of last week? So, who was on the revenue challenge all of last week? Just put Rev. Put Rev if you're on the revenue challenge. Wasn't that awesome last week? If you were not on the revenue challenge last week, we spent 5 days going over 5 different ways to create revenue, and it was awesome. Was it not, you guys? It was so good. It was so good. Ah, so good. Okay. So, how many of you guys are ready to end your year? You're winding it down. Christmas is around the corner. Your family's flying in. The holidays are getting started. Anybody still need to shop for Christmas presents? I have one more. One more Christmas present. Suzanne still has to. Okay, good. Patrick's like, I don't know if I'm going to shop for any Christmas presents, right, Patrick? Okay, good. So I have my really good friend Dan Fleischman, who we're going to bring up in just a second, but I want to share something with you. And I shared this with our team this morning at Heartcore, and I said, you know, one of the advantages when you start to create companies or you start to create value for other people and you start to become successful is you sit at different dinner tables. And when you sit at different dinner tables, I feel like you get a different edge. And one of the real battles that I have had in as being a business coach and a mentor for thousands of people, we have anywhere from 12 to 1,400 new buyers that come into our ecosystem every single month. And I don't have to go do anything for that. That happens because we have our systems set up. We have evergreen funnels set up. And we're at that point where it's a beautiful place to be, because I remember how many of you guys are here. I remember when I used to sit in a Starbucks and wonder, what am I going to do for today? Do you know what I mean? I know some of you guys are there right now. Some of you guys are past that, but it's such a blessing when work becomes a privilege, because you remember the days when you didn't know what to do. So I believe we're in one of the best business buying opportunities. And even if you don't think that you're in a position to buy businesses, I want you to change your mind on that. I think we're going to be in one of the most epic real estate markets that we're going to see for another 8, 9, maybe 10 years. And I think you need to sit at the right tables with the right minds that win over and over and over again. Do you agree? Yes or no? Agree? Yes or no? Do you value that? Yes or no? Right? And so I'm going to bring my friend Dan Fleischman up, and he's one of, I always say you don't have to be smart to be successful, but he happens to be really smart. So you're going to gain an edge from his intellect as well, but he's someone who moves, he knows a lot of people, he wins a lot. I have been a part of his 100M mastermind that spent $100,000 to be able to be educated by him and some of the mentors that he brings to the table. And I have made a lot of money just being in proximity to Dan with some of the partnerships that I've done. So I'm hoping right now that you can set an intention for yourself. So set an intention for yourself. If there was anything that you could really receive hope, clarity, power around, what would that be? Go in the comment section. Obviously, YouTube and Facebook, I'll go back and take a look at your comments, but what would you love to see clarity on? What would you set an intention for? So Christina, hope and clarity is awesome, but around what? Do you know what I mean? Like, and I find a lot of people will go into masterminds or events and it's like, let's see what comes out of this. That's not how it works. Like, what do you need? Like, what's the thing that you need to gain some power around, right? Patrick says letting go, but letting go, if you let go of something, what would you grab a hold of? Right? Do you want to figure out how to buy a business? Do you even know the power of that? Do you want to figure out how to be more courageous in your business so that maybe you need to raise capital for your business? What is that? Motivation. So if you're going to say motivation, I'm going to say just listen to a good podcast. right? Because that's about discipline. Discipline's going to help you. Capital. Coach Victoria said, love to know about capital. Becoming an expert in sales and marketing. Maybe, or maybe you have to become a great entrepreneur and hire other people to do sales and marketing. Or maybe you want to become really good at it. Discipline and freedom. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up the chats and I'm going to open up the line for Dan Fleischman to come on. I'm going to recommend you have a piece of paper and pen. I always have one, and I will be writing notes. You'll see me write notes as I start to like grab stuff that he says and go, I want to take action on that. So can we bring up Dan Fleischman? Dan, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
So good to see you. Where are you in the world right now?
I'm in Salt Lake City. We are 2 hours away from throwing the world's largest toy drive.
Oh my gosh, tell us the vision behind that really quickly.
So Saturday, we broke the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest toy drive in history. But I want to put a cherry on top, and we're also doing it in Salt Lake City here at 12 o'clock. And so the concept, I've been doing it for 9 years, but this is the one this is the first year we went crazy. So on Saturday, we had 45,000 toys. And then today, we've got semi-trucks of toys showing up to just completely shatter the record. And then we're going to try to do it again next year. We're going to do it again next year to really break the record again.
Okay, so I want you to tell everybody who you are and what, like, kind of so they get a context. But everybody, I'm going to ask Dan a question even about this toy drive, because I was watching I saw a post on Instagram, and we just saw each other in Florida, and you brought up the toy drive, right? And so I was saying to Ash, I was like, every year or almost every year, I go and I wipe out Walmart, and I go, and freaking Dan Fleischman goes, and I saw a warehouse, or I saw you walking through a warehouse. I was like, we need to play bigger. I was like, we could do more. We could, and sometimes that is doing more together. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
You're focused together, so you dominate the media, you dominate the airwaves, so that you're moving in one direction. Because the one thing I've really learned is being the boss of everything isn't really the best strategy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how did you come up with that concept? Did you look in the Guinness Book of World Records to try and beat that?
So 9 years ago, when we first started, it was like 8 of us on the floor wrapping toys last second to try to give it to the 300 families. Year 8, same thing. Year 7, like each time we just got 22 volunteers and 40 volunteers. Now we have 200 volunteers because of the amount of families that show up. It's mind-boggling. The Guinness Book of World Records idea came up was last year. We took over SoFi Stadium. We covered the entire football field with toys.
Wow.
And we put that together in 11 days flat. And so I realized, I was like, wait a minute, what if we actually plan it out, do multiple cities, rally our friends together to donate toys and money and time and energy to do this, and really go for it. Let's break the world record. And then once we broke the record on Saturday, I was like, okay, let's do it again. Let's do it at an even bigger level for next year. So we're going to do even more cities next year. And the concept of it was, how do we rally the community together so people that don't have money can bring toys or just come volunteer? They don't have to have any money to be a part of it. Yep. 2, how do we get enough families over here to pick up the toys? Because that's actually a problem. So we had 400 families planned, 600 families that we knew of that were going to come, and then told them all, hey, invite all your friends, families, and cousins to get them over here too to pick up toys on Saturday. But then we really realized, hey, what if we get other charities, other homeless shelters, teen abuse shelters, women abuse shelters, and orphanages, let them come after the event at nighttime and pick up truckloads, bring U-Hauls, bring vans, bring SUVs. And that's what we did. So I was texting Erwin McManus, hey, get Mosaic Church over here. Hey, this foundation over here. Hey, homeless shelter, come over. Like, we were getting those people involved too. And so now that we've got the systems in place to really do it at scale, next year, I don't even know what's going to happen. Like, we're going to go on a whole different planet.
Do you not think that when you start to play like this, that you don't operate from fear of failure, that doesn't it become more addicting to start playing on that level when it has nothing to do with you? Can you speak into that in the context of like these entrepreneurs going out and crushing it next year?
Yep. So my name is Dan Fleischman. I'm addicted to charity. Like, I do so many charity events, and it's not about the money part. And I publicize it so much because I publicize it so much because I want people to copy me. I want them to do their own version of whatever they see or they like in their own cities. You don't need to contribute to my toy drive, my homeless drive, my food drive for Thanksgiving, my back to school drive. I'd rather you go do it yourself in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, wherever the heck you are in the world. I'm posting about charity so much because I am fully addicted, but I'm addicted to people copying me. And so I don't need the pat on the back. I want you to get the pat on the back. I want you to be on the news. I want you to be on TV. I want other people to go copy me, and it's happened. There are so many people that have thrown toy drives the last week that have replicated smaller, medium-sized versions of what we're doing. That is way more important to me than what our core is. I know that sounds weird. Same thing on our food drive. On our food drive, I'm obsessed with the fact that people are then replicating our food drives in their cities. People are doing their same thing for Thanksgiving in their cities. And so now the butterfly effect of that has gone not just nationwide, but worldwide. We do one called a tipping dinner, where we all bring together either $100 each or $1,000 each, depending on the level of entrepreneur. And we all chip in, let's call it $100 each. And then at the end, the waitress gets $1,700 or $2,200 or however many people showed up to that dinner. And then on the big ones, we'll do $1,000 each and get $20,000, $30,000 for the waitress plus the staff. I get tagged every single week by people all over the world doing the same tipping dinner that we came up with here in Salt Lake City last year during COVID because restaurants were hurt. So I am fully addicted because I'm watching people replicate it all over the world. And by doing it, it is, by the way, there are business parts to doing charity. It is my excuse to call anybody I want. You want to call Ed Milet or Shanda, etc. Good luck trying to get her or Ed Milet to show up to your event for your wedding or your business or your birthday party. But if you're throwing a charity event, you have a real good shot at getting Jamie Lima and Ed Milet and all these legends to come to you or want to donate to you because of what you're doing matters to them. And it's different from just being another one of the 1,000 people that hit them up for a birthday party or a business event. Charity makes people compelled to want to be a part of what you're up to. And so I got addicted to it for every reason that you can imagine. And I'll be doing charity. I'll be in a wheelchair, 92 years old, doing the same toy drives.
Okay, so I'm getting messages even privately where people are, first of all, they're blown away with what you're doing. And I would say, Dan, so there's the business aspect of this as well. And I want to talk into leadership on this for a second, because there are people who have these ideas that they want to contribute, and they do it kind of from the marketing aspect, right? So it's like, okay, I'm doing this interview series, or I'm doing this event, and like, I'm going to raise a little bit of money. Talk about what gets a big player interested in partnering with you when you go to actually give in a charity. And by the way, you guys, this wasn't about charities or anything like that. It was just about the fact that the way Dan thinks, it's freeing. Everybody wants freedom, and everybody wants financial freedom, and everybody wants to make an impact in the world. But I find that the heart that people go at it with is cheap sometimes. And I don't mean it's cheap like you don't want to give to other people. I'm saying it's cheap like nobody's getting involved because you're not fired up enough about what you're doing. Can you speak into when you're approaching people to partner with around these types of things, what it takes?
They want to see a true cause and effect, meaning if they donate their money, time, or energy, they're going to see the results of it in real time, real impact. So if they donate to building an orphanage, you build that orphanage within a few months. If they're donating to Thanksgiving food drive, you're feeding people and handing out turkeys the next week. Like, people want to see that. There's a lot of times charity can go into the abyss. They donate $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000, any number, and then they don't see what happens later. People like to see that the money go into action. And so mine is a 0% charity. So I cover all overhead, all expenses, all everything, because I want them to see every single dollar goes to the actual toy or food or homeless or whatever. And so I guess the main thing of it is, if you're going to do something charity related, make sure people can visually see that you took an action, or they can be a part of it. They can post about it on social media. They can show up in person. They can be a part of it with or without money.
Yeah, that's super good. I call that a runway. It's like it's on a runway and it's going to create impact like right now. Okay, Dan, let's get into 2023. When COVID hit, what was because I'm using this as an example where people cave, right? And the recession, so people are going to cave, or they're going to hear this interview and they're not going to cave. So when COVID hit, what do you think was one of your best advantages in your mindset of what you went after practically? And then I'd love you to flip to the recession and how you're thinking about that.
Yep. So two things. One, my elevator nights events, which are my free business events, I took to virtual like this right away and was getting huge results. While everyone else was like cowering in fear and not knowing what to do, I immediately started throwing my events and was getting 4,000, 10,000, 15,000 people to show up because we're all locked into the house, but I wanted to still be able to talk about entrepreneurship. Two, on the restaurant side, we had a chain called Everbowl. We had 25 locations at the time. Me and my friends bought 23 of them and said, you guys are now a franchise company. Let's go get as many leases as possible and get as many franchisees as possible because the rents are going to be way cheaper because landlords are freaking out because everything's closed and they don't know what's going to happen. None of us knew when it was going to reopen. I just knew it was going to reopen. And so I'd rather go negotiate really good leases right away. So Everbowl went from having 25 locations to now we have 59 locations. We open one new one every 6 days and sold 297 franchises that have been paid for. So we went from a 25 location business that sells acai bowls that most people would have closed down or like, sat on the floor and cried or freaked out or stopped and not done any leases to going really hyper aggressive and opening 34 locations since then. And we open one new one every 6 days now because of the fact that we went out and signed 297 leases at really good rates at big discounts because the rest of the world was in fear. We went full steam ahead.
Okay, so when you come up with a concept like that, what's your process? Like, do you sit there with a whiteboard and start going, okay, I refuse to curdle,
Yes.
right? I'm going to grow. What's the opportunity here?
So I went full steam ahead on every one of my businesses because when times are tough, when people are in fear, that's the time that you can get really aggressive. I opened my sports card store chain October 2020, right? That's 6 months into the whole world being shut down. I opened it on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles, where every one of my neighbors is closed down. When I say everyone, I mean literally every neighbor doesn't exist. They're closed down or there's wooden boards because there was riots at the time. I opened a retail store back then. I put in 1.6 million to open a card store in the middle of chaos. Now, 26 months later, we've done $30 million in sales, and I have no competitors in having a chain store of sports card stores because I opened in the midst of chaos while everyone else was cowering in fear. And I say that, I almost say it a little kind of aggressive or blunt. We are going into another situation in 2023. There's going to be chaos and fear. And it's not going to be a shutdown from the health perspective, but you're going to see a lot of shutdowns from business perspectives of people being protective. When people are being protective, they're not selling their real estate as much. They're willing to sell at a discount. They're freaking out their cars. Their watches aren't raising in price like everything else was before. The stock market's down. In times of chaos is where you can get the richest. Because when people are in fear and they don't know what to do and they choose nothing, these are the times and opportunities you're going to find businesses for sale, real estate deals for sale, luxury items for sale, partnerships you can make, taking equity in companies for free or for a discount because they need your help and your expertise. If you're really, let's say you own 7 gyms and someone else owns gyms. They will literally give you a piece of their gyms because you can help them from expertise and you don't have to give them any money because you know how to scale gyms. Same thing happens to accounting, real estate, you own 4 doctor's offices, whatever you do, if you're an expert in something, people will literally give you a piece of their company to help them scale because people are getting really scared for 2023.
So good. I was actually going to ask you the question, what if somebody didn't have the cash to be able to like buy a business, so to speak? And I do want to speak into this, and I'm going to ask you another question around this, but you guys, in a good market and a bad market, there are people buying businesses, they're buying real estate, and it's all about structure. So I want everybody to write down the word structure, right? Because it's like, there's businesses right now every single month that shut down and people are walking away from businesses that are bigger than some of your businesses. They're literally walking away because they don't want to deal with it anymore. And so if you are in a position that you're like, you own a coaching company, you own a real estate company, or you're a therapist or whatever, and you could walk into somebody's business that is profitable, it's great, they just don't want to do it anymore. They're done. They're like, cash out, I'm done. And they don't know anything about selling the business. And there's thousands every single month. Now, when it's a bad market, you collapse on top of that. people who do want to run the business, who do want to go after, who would operate for you and know the business. They just need some better leadership where you could come in and just, it's just like the picking just gets bigger, right? And it's already big, right? Dan's winning in a good market and in a bad market. And so what if somebody didn't feel ready, Dan? Like they didn't feel ready about buying a business. They didn't feel like people are going to grab cash and they're going to start investing. So I do want you to talk about that too. They're
Yep.
going to start investing randomly in stocks and crypto and all this shit that I see all the time. I'm like, oh my God, like people who lose always lose because they're not sitting at the right tables, right? They're not in the masterminds that are talking about these things. They're not sitting at the right table. So first deal with, if somebody doesn't feel ready, what's your advice from them?
So if you don't feel ready, you got to get ready. And the way you get ready is to get really, really smart about something. You have now an opportunity in our world to become an expert and really study and learn really fast. There's that new app, Chat GPT. You can become an expert on something in like an hour because of the way it's structured. Chat GPT is crazy. It's AI to teach you about anything and everything you want in seconds. But if you go down the rabbit hole, sorry, it's called Chat GPT. So if you go down the rabbit hole and learn, let's say you want to open tanning salons or dry cleaners, or you want to take over someone else's tanning salons or dry cleaning business or automotive company, repair company, plumbing company, things that you think are boring. They're doing 2.5 million a year in revenue, 4 million revenue, 1.6 million revenue, and could be bigger if it wasn't a mom and pop shop and you came in to help them or took over or took a 51% or 100% of their business. Getting really, really, really smart about it. Going to conventions, going to conferences, joining Facebook groups, creating your own Facebook group. Let's just use dry cleaning as the example. Making a dry cleaning Facebook group, joining every dry cleaning Facebook group, going to the dry cleaning conference, searching everything to do with dry cleaning on Google, on Yelp, on social media, just going down the rabbit hole, learning everything about dry cleaning, and then approaching this 73-year-old that's like, you know what? I own 6 of them. I don't want to run it anymore. I will give you 50% of it if you run it for me. Or, hey, I do 4 million in sales. Anything above 4 million in sales, I'll give you 50% of. There's some really interesting deals that cost you $0. They don't need cash because the business has got 4 million in revenue, but they're 73 years old. They're like, I'm tired. I don't want to leave it to my nephew or my son because he's not going to interested in the business. This is not a theoretical, like I'm talking dead serious. I know hundreds of people that have done this over the years that walk up to people and just literally show up at their place and say, hey, I know you've got 6 of these dry cleaners. I know you got 6 of these post office locations. I know you got 6 storage units and I know you don't want to run it anymore. Let me take 50% of everything above your 4 million revenue, or let me take 50% of your business.
Yeah.
They don't need the cash from you up front. They want the business to keep going. Now, if you've got the money to go buy a company, that's great too. But for the most part, you can find a lot of businesses in that 7-figure range that are doing good, 1 to 5 million, especially. Now you can scale to $10 million in revenue just by putting in effort. Like just by like most of these people, let's say that the dry cleaning example, they don't have a Facebook, an Instagram, a LinkedIn, a TikTok. They don't have any of that stuff. For you to do it, it's free, 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 and free. They're probably not on Yelp because they don't know what to do. They're 73 years old. They probably don't have their Google reviews set up properly. They're probably not embedded into like navigation on like apps. You know how important that is for people to be able to look up on Google or Yahoo or just maps on Apple and iPhone of where your dry cleaner is. Think about how much business they're losing by people searching dry cleaner Los Angeles or dry cleaner Puerto Rico. So just by you coming in and saying you can help them, there's so many deals that you can do out there without capital.
Can you use an example for like someone who gets paid for their advice, like a coach or consultant or something like that?
So right now, also, because there's so much fear, consultants are more useful now than ever. Because for the last decade, well, since 2008-9, really, everybody's been a genius, right? Watches go up, cars go up, stocks go up, crypto goes up, business goes up. Everybody's a genius. Now, when we're going into recession, people are freaking out, don't know what to do. This is the time that consultants this is their time to shine, because you can go to these businesses and say, hey, I noticed that you're spending $130,000 a year on XYZ. You don't need to do that. Hey, I know I can save you money because you're spending all this money and you got 1,200 employees when you could do the whole thing with 800 employees. Hey, I noticed that your business, like going in and just saving them money to pay for yourself, to make yourself free, they'll never fire you. right? If you can go and if you know how to go fix a business in any category, real estate, accounting, doctors, medical, restaurants, whatever, and you know going in by being an expert, like really researching everything, hey, guess what? Restaurant chain with 20 locations. I can get you napkins cheaper. I can get you your blueberries cheaper, your plastic forks cheaper. If you can save them 4 cents on their forks, you've paid for yourself because they run through 1 million forks a year. And
Okay, I
so,
have a question for you. How'd you get so damn smart at like every business? Like I feel like I can ask you about any business and you just like how do you get so smart about all these businesses?
I live and breathe it, right? I dive in, I sit at a lot of tables, I'm with a lot of friends in each category. I'm an investor in 43 different companies. And so a lot of times I'll invest just to learn about it. I can see what's going on in their business. I get their investor updates. I'm understanding when things are good, bad, and ugly. And so I'm just an investor in so many different things that I immerse myself in each category. But if you ask me about certain businesses, if I don't invest into it, I'm also blunt. Like if I don't know something, I don't know something. But for the most part, I'm investing in the things that I can help and I want to learn about. And so the things that I talk about are not just theoretical. I like to talk about real nuts and bolts of what I've seen in action for coaches, consultants, restaurant owners, dry cleaners, etc. All the examples I've been saying are like real life scenarios, but the way I get good at it is being in the room. You know, if you're at the mastermind or you're at the event or you're learning from like being around people that are really good at something, and I'm always a sponge. I'm listening.
I think I just saw that you helped a teacher. Didn't you just help a teacher in something?
Yeah, so I invested in with Margot Baines. Um, so she teaches. She's based out of Houston. She has a teaching app for young students, and I liked her a lot because she went out there and she speaks at every event. She's won all these different awards. Google and Microsoft have both given her 50K and 100K for her teaching company after I invested. But I like it because of how passionate she is about the kids, right? I don't know necessarily how great the company is going to do at scale, but I know she's going to do great, whatever this turns into. And so I bet on the person. I know that she's ride or die. She's willing to be at every event. She's willing to do the work. She'll travel across the country to do whatever she has to do to help these kids. And so whatever the company turns into, I don't really mind. I want to bet on her. And if she stops doing the teaching and starts selling pillows, I'm still going to invest into her.
Yeah, that's what I wanted people to hear because so many people don't realize it's their leadership. I think I was in a room with Mark Zuckerberg's sister Randy like years ago, and she talked about people bring all these business plans to her, and she's like, "Where are you going, Dan?" She's
Charger.
Oh, got it. So she goes, people bring all these business plans to her, and she goes, the business plans are great, but I actually want to see the leader behind the business plan. Because if the leader behind the business plan won't just go after it, do you know what I mean? Like then forget about it. You know, she's like, there's no way I'm gonna invest on just a good business plan. I'm looking for the leader behind the plan to see can they drive this thing. And that's what I heard you say with this teacher.
Yep. That's what I call the quarterback. I only invest in companies based on the quarterback.
Okay, so everybody needs to write that down because it's like that piece, like you've got to be that's the person who he's backdooring saying if you want to be successful with or without an investor in your company, you need to be that quarterback. You can't be like I'm exhausted at the end of the day. It's like work is a privilege, right? What's the vision you're running? What are you going after? And are you okay with when things break? Can you get up off the floor quick and move, right? What are you most excited about in 2023? What's like the deals you're looking for?
I'm scaling the card store chain. We're going really aggressive starting in January. Opening up locations in Calabasas, Boca Raton, Dubai, all over the place. I'm really excited to scale that. I want to take that from 30 million to 100 million revenue and build like the first true national chain in the sports card and Pokemon space. We invested $44 million this year amongst our syndicate group. And I want to do the same for next year because that's $3 to $6 million at a time into food and beverage brands. There's been some great women that have started some company like just amazing companies that I'm really excited about watching them scale. And so I want to stick to the same $3 to $6 million per deal once a month, so we can really help a lot of small businesses go from that 2 to 20 million revenue and take them to a big number for them. And so, yeah, investing in, to me,
Food and beverage. Why food and beverage?
We don't only do food and beverage. It's just been kind of that sweet spot of like food and beverage companies get acquired often if they get good shelf space,
Mm,
because the really big guys, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, these humongous corporations, it's cheaper for them to buy a brand than to start a brand. And
mm,
so if someone does well in a niche, in a health food space, like Cauliflower Foods, yes, of course, a large food company could go start Cauliflower Foods, but it would cost them $75 million in 2 years' time to get started. Why not buy her for 140 million, skip all that, already be in national chains, etc., and it's a good product. And
yeah,
so that's why I like food and beverage. We're also doing consumer products, apparel, things like that, things that are scalable, that can go from 2 to 20 million revenue up to that 50 to 100 million revenue. That's that real sweet spot for us, because we catch them early enough where we can get a meaningful piece of their business. But we also skip a lot of the risk part of it because they're already doing 4 million bucks, 6 million bucks, etc. The most part of risk when you guys are out there investing, because as you guys get richer and richer and richer over time, you're already getting pitched. I'm sure everyone listening is already getting pitched from friends, families, social media followers, etc., to invest. Over time, as you get wealthier and wealthier and more ways to get a hold of you, people are going to pitch you. I remove a lot of risk by investing in companies doing at least $2 million in sales.
yeah.
Now, can you invest in someone doing $0 with an idea? You can. You better get a really big piece, because it's only going to work out sometimes. That's a high risk investment. It's much lower risk investing in companies that have a couple million bucks in sales. They went through a lot of the hard parts.
And for you guys to dig in, as you can tell, right? So just talk about that.
Sorry, it broke up for a second.
Just saw that. Did you? So you guys, Dan and I were text messaging before we jumped on, and he has an ebook because it's impossible for so much insight. Talk about your ebook real quick, Dan.
Yep.
Can you
So
hear
I
me?
wrote two. I wrote two books. We made a code for you guys so you can get either of the books or both the books. One is called "How to Set Up Your Business for Under $1,000." The other book is "How to Set Up Your Personal Brand for Under $1,000."
Ooh.
The code is HEART. I'm sure they'll put it in the chat. The website is
Yeah, so
buythisbook.com.
yeah,
The code is
let
HEART.
everybody know online. So buythisbook.com. You guys, my team who's on social media, if you could drop it as well, and I think it might be in the description as well, but buythisbook.com, and the code is HEART, HEART, to be able to get it, to be able to grab it. So talk about the two books again real quick.
Yep. So the first one was called "How to Set Up Your Business for Under $1,000." I've sold, I think, 160,000 copies of that book. It's a very basic book of like how to get your corporation, how to get your website going, how to get your LLC, how to get your website set up, your social media account set up. It shows like a 30 item checklist of what to do. So it's a very useful book. I like to refer to it as like kind of like a checklist. One sec.
We can see you.
Um, Sorry, a phone call came out. I was trying to send them to voicemail. I like to look at it as more like a checklist of what you need, things that you need to do to set up your business. And then on the personal brand side, how to set up your personal brand for under $1,000. Similar concept. It's all the things you need. The code will be working shortly. We just sent it in right now, like 12 minutes ago, to get it going. So you'll be able to use it today for sure. So how to set up your personal brand essentially is how to get all your social media accounts, how to make content, how to do collaboration content, etc. It walks you through all the basics of what you need to do. And then towards the end, a bit more high level of things you need to do. But it's really useful because all of you have a personal brand, whether you like it or not. This is a way to help you make it more effective and you tell your story.
And even for the people who work at Hardcore Business, it's like you guys should be developing a personal brand if you don't have one. Like it's just so important to be able to get yourself out there. Dan, you do more advertising in influencer marketing than I think anybody I know. Can you just talk about that side of your business too? Because I think it's powerful for people to understand that.
Yep. So I've spent over $60 million with influencers. I did 110,000 paid posts. So we're the agency of record for Oracle, BET Television. We do campaigns for everyone from supplement companies, beauty and fashion, etc. And we paid 3,500 influencers just this year alone. And so that's that's my day job, the social media agency. I've been doing that for 8 years now. That's my core business. But I brought on a quarterback. I brought on my CEO 3.5 years ago, and he runs the business. I deal with clients to bring in clients, but then he manages the clients, manages campaigns, deals with the 3,000 influencers. Like, he's the one that's out there uh, running it. But the agency is important because influencer marketing works. It's the cheapest CPM rate you can get of any advertising, because you can pay $1 to $3 CPM rate, which is cost per thousand eyeballs, compared to a billboard, TV, radio, etc., which is $20 to $40. Hey guys, the code will be working today. We just submitted for the code about 20
Yeah,
minutes ago. So
just, just keep the URL, and the code is heart. Keep the URL, which is buythisbook.com. Dan, like, this is not what you'd want to do if you were selling something. He's giving you something, right? Like, he's
yeah,
keep the but like he created this so that people like you can go and actually get insight, especially if you're not dropping the $100,000 to get into some of these masterminds. So buythisbook.com, keep the code heart, and set an alarm in your phone that at 5 p.m. tonight you go back and grab it. Okay, sound good? Awesome.
perfect.
Okay, so Dan, when people are looking to grow their companies, and I know that we'll kind of come to an end on this interview in a second, but I want to fire people's brains up so that they stop thinking they're too small, not ready, whatever. Like, throw this shit out, right? It's all about leadership. It's all about grabbing a hold of it right now and going all in. So when you are looking at growing a company, when you're looking at actually growing a company, team is really important. You keep talking about this quarterback, right? So like, did you go get a big, like, C-level executive to poach them from another company and brought them in? Like, how do you find these people that can quarterback these companies, especially yours, like your influencer marketing one, or, you
Yep.
know?
So I have this thing. I want to find someone that's what I call ride or die. So I want my quarterback, whoever's going to be my CEO or president, I want them to be the person that I know that if we're at a convention and it's 2 a.m. and there's a plumbing leak at the convention hall, the Las Vegas Convention Center is flooded. They're not just putting their phone down and waiting till 8 a.m, waking up and going over there. They're getting up at 2 a.m. and rushing over to go fix it and go move the booth. And by the way, I'll be there too. So I'm not expecting them to do something I won't do too, but I want someone that's ride or die. That's kind of my nickname for it. I would like to find someone that's usually in the similar space, right? For my agency, I found someone who's 30 years in the TV game. So they did all the reality TV shows like The Apprentice, Real World, Simple Life with Paris Hilton. He was in the TV game for 30 years, not necessarily social media like me, but he was in the entertainment space for 30 years. So that was a very high level CEO. For my sports card business, for the sports card stores, this is a guy that just loves sports cards and had a small exit before, knows how to run a business, but never ran retail chain before. I trusted him, and it's been working out great because he's ride or die. I've known him for many, many years, and he had a small exit, so I know he knows how to build a business to scale. And he loves sports cards, so he had all the check marks of what I wanted. Margot, who we mentioned earlier about the teaching company, she's ride or die. She loves education. She's ex-military. She's won awards. She's won speaking. She's gotten grants from big companies. Check, check, check. Right. So if you can see the pattern, I'm looking for people that are willing to put in the work and love what they're doing, like the category, and have been in the similar space. That's what I'm looking for.
And so from a structure standpoint, we had Pace Morby on. I don't know if you know Pace,
Very well.
last Friday. And it's like, I think one of the biggest things in leadership, or a great leadership quality, is understanding structure. Like, you're saying it, you're just not using that word. He used the word structure a lot, owner finance structure, stuff, you know what I mean? Like, so, structure is the difference between winning. I think it's solving every problem when you're structured. So when I write ride or die, similar space, knows how to run or scale a business, do you look for structure deals to give them a piece share if it exit, or do you pay big salaries?
Yep. So I always give them equity that's enough for them to care. So I don't want them to get poached by someone else. And
Yep.
I want them to be all in on the business. And so that equity will range anywhere from 3 to 10%, depending on the level of on the C level, if it's CEO, president type person. Um, if they're vice president, accounting, CFO, et cetera, I'm usually in the 1 to 3% range, typically. And then salary wise, I do want to be competitive with bonuses. So I'm not trying to overpay them on their salary. I want to pay them the right base rate similar to their category, their industry, and then make it something where the bonuses or the incentives or a small percentage of net sales, something's going to incentivize them to work their butts off. But I don't want it to be so cushy that they're just, making $250,000 a year on their salary. And they're like, yeah, what do I care if I make a bonus or not? I want them to make enough money that matters for them to be the C-level person of the company. But I also want them to want to work extra hours and want to do it optionally because they want to show up on Saturday or they want to show up Friday night because they know the incentive at the end. They know there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
So good. I love it. All right. Any final words, Dan Fleischman, rock star? By the way, I was telling our team how, are you still not driving? Are you still Ubering and stuff as you're working in the back of cars?
Yeah.
You got to tell that story. It's so good.
So for the last 7 years, I haven't driven a car because during that, and especially in LA, during that 1 or 2 hours in traffic, I could be working on my phone. And so mathematically, it's just way better for me to be on my phone. And it's much more efficient because I know I'm going to want to look at my phone. So it's safer for me to just be in the back seat, just texting away and doing emails.
It's so good. I love it. Again, I don't think you have to be super smart to be at the top, but you are super smart. And every time I hear little things like that, I'm like, yeah, you're right if you look at it. But the difference is you've gone and done that, right? You've gone and you're that obsessed. I would use the word obsessed.
Yep.
Um, with succeeding at whatever it is that you do. And I think you're playing a role that you've got quarterbacks in different companies, and so you're playing a different role and you know what your role is and you're driving it all the way through. So I think that's super powerful. Okay, so any final last words about the recession coming forward for people and closing out this year? I don't know how you close out your year.
So be calm in the midst of chaos. It's going to
Mm.
be very chaotic in 2023. Be calm, level-headed, and focused, and you will see opportunities arise. You're going to see people posting on Facebook. They're freaking out about their dry cleaners. They're freaking out about their restaurants. They don't know what to do with their house, etc. You're going to have situations arise that you can step in either with money or without money. You're going to see a lot of interesting situations in 2023. So be calm and focused in the midst of chaos.
Are you playing in any of the crypto games or anything like that?
So we do have our NFT company called Meta Labs Agency. We did 71 million in sales this year. Throughout the chaos, same thing. All of our NFTs are still 1 to 3x above what their started price was, where most of the market's down 50, 60, 70, 80%. We're still 100 to 300% above our launches because we stayed calm in the chaos. We stayed focused on providing value for our NFT holders. And so now whenever we do a drop, we just did a drop 7 weeks ago, did 21 million in sales in 1 week because, and it's very public sale, because people like our previous launches. And so when they like your previous launches, they're going to buy into your next launch. And
Mm.
because we came through with what we said on our previous launches, people bought into our next launch. And so we sold out. We're 3 for 3 now. And then we did one joint venture one. And so the NFT space is going to be very tough next year. You have to be very picky about what happens. But if you provide value, if it's something that actually does something, like it's not just buying digital art, then there's still space for it. Yes.
So good. And when he says he makes a drop, you guys, he's got an audience of people that he works with and he's connected with. So when you run your own media, notice he talked about an influencer campaign. When you run your own media, you have good email lists, text message lists, and you got strong authority in your leadership. People can tell. It's like when you walk into a room, you have a good instinct about who to stay away from, or at least hopefully you have a good instinct about who to stay away from and who you gravitate towards that you actually want to get to know more. And hopefully your picker is on choice, but most people can smell a scam. Most people can smell a scam. Most people can really pick out like that person. Everybody think about the person in your life that always lands on their feet, right? Like I always say to myself when I'm riding a bike and I hit a hill, I'm like, I dominate that hill. I love that hill. I make so much money in a down market and win constantly. I think it just puts me on my edge in a way that I just have so much fun growing, and the opportunity is something that gets me out of bed in a big way. And so I'm wanting you guys to look at that for yourself, and just hopefully you can follow Dan, you can grab his book. I asked Dan for everybody. Dan, last week we ran a revenue challenge, and the cart's closing on that revenue challenge for our leadership program. And I asked if Dan would throw in the trainings that we did in the 100M Mastermind. So can you just share a little bit about that training? So everybody who jumped in last week and anybody who jumps in today, know that Dan's going to gift you the same trainings that I got, that I wrote and stroke a check for $100,000 to be able to get that edge and be sitting at the right tables to create the results that I have been able to create and will create continuously in 2023. Can you share a little bit about what's in that?
Yep. So we have over 300 videos in there. It's, almost 3 years of work that's gone into it with different experts across the board. Legends in different categories, from education to cannabis, teaching, crypto, business, real estate, more real estate, more real estate. Like every category is covered. It was a lot of work, a lot of energy went into it. So it's 100 Million Academy. We have a ton of hours of content in there for you guys. And so it's very useful. I mean, I can't even explain the countless amount of hours and time we put into it with really, really smart people that have 150 million sales here and 500 million sales there. And this guy's a billionaire. Like there's some really impressive people that teach in there. And normally we charge a lot for it, and we're including it for free.
So good. Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate you. I'm going to jump you off. I'm just going to close out the live. I'll send you a text
Sounds
later.
good.
Thank you for coming on
Bye.
and taking time today. All right, you guys, as we're wrapping down, thank you. As we're wrapping down 2022 for us here at Heartcore, we're closing our offices down, and we're going to take a beautiful Christmas break. I just wanted to take a moment and end with a bang and just say, listen, some of the tables that I get to sit at are great. And, I can tell you, I've dropped $25,000 for just a conversation with some of my friends to pick their mind. And people message me all the time. They're like, Shanna, can I pick your mind? I'm like, happy to share with you anything I can in the DMs on Instagram, DMs and Facebook. But the challenge is that you need to sit down and study. It was my friend Jesse Itzler just put a message out on Instagram, and I messaged him. I said, great freaking advice, great leadership. And he said, if you study 18 minutes a day, you can literally master anything within a year. But the problem is so many people won't study 18 minutes a day because they don't follow through. And you know who you are. This isn't about condemnation. It's not about giving you shit. It's about saying, listen, when I used to be a great starter and a shitty finisher, I started studying leadership, and I started going in and doing the work so that I could create the results that I wanted to create. So when Dan talks about buying a business, or Pace Morby last week talks about structuring owner finance deals. I mean, I was already in the market with my husband looking at property even this morning about what can we do to purchase this or that on owner finance, which I already knew we were going to do before Pace came on. I've been telling my husband for the last 3 months that we're going to do that in an area that I love here in Puerto Rico. So all of that to say, I text messaged Dan. I asked him to throw that in. Everybody who jumped in last week that jumped into leadership, if you go to joinhclnow.com, if you haven't jumped in, let me take a few minutes. Are you guys good who have already jumped in? Are you good if I just take a couple minutes and share this with some people? Because it's a holiday sale, and I think it's probably, well, I would say it's the most important thing I've ever done for my own life. And I'm going to raise the price back up to $5,000. So the challenge is if I sit you at a dinner table with Dan or Pace last week or myself, and I say, Patrick, go do this, or Carrie, go do this, or Kelly, go do this. And then what do I get back? Well, I'm not sure that's going to work. Or do I have to hire a virtual assistant? Or you guys get it, right? I'm not being a brat here. You already know, right? You know what you come up with, the excuse, and then the backup excuse. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just we've not been taught how to follow through in proper leadership. When you structure ideas to solve a problem, that is leadership. right? So when he's talking about, I think Pace was talking last week, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's okay. He was just talking about the real estate market and how he's picking up property like crazy, and he's doing it without putting a dollar down, right? He's literally taking over people's mortgages without putting a dollar down, never dealing with a bank and not worry about bad credit. It's like, but we can show you, there's a million YouTube videos on how to do it, by the way. You don't need to do a course on it. He'll show you a million YouTube videos. But why do people not do it? Because they don't have the leadership to follow through. And we get scared, we hold back. If you've ever wanted to write a book and it's still not out of you, you think perfectionism is your problem. It's not. It's actually leadership. And so I'm absolutely convinced, I've seen so many people move from the middle class and the poverty mark to being able to make $1 million a year, be able to make $500,000 a year. We had a client in 1 year do $4 million from startup. Not saying any of you guys will do that. It's not an income claim whatsoever, and I'm not suggesting you would do that. I'm just saying that she had the leadership to follow through, and she did our leadership program. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? So I'm going to share a little bit about what our leadership program is for any of you guys before I shut my office doors and this goes away. Okay, so if you go to joinhclnow.com, if you jumped in, we had hundreds of people last week jump in. You guys are hooked up. We're going to give you Dan Fleischman's 100M Mastermind. I cut a $100,000 check for that. Okay, so you want to look at where do you want to go deep on? And there's trainings in there from people who don't mentor. Do you know what I mean? You have to be at the dinner table. And I'm telling you, there's a different experience. Many of you guys know never study with a mentor that doesn't get mentored. You know that, right? Yes. Never study with a mentor that doesn't get mentored. But there are a ton of mentors that don't get mentored. Because what happens is they hit a certain income level and they stop because they've got theirs. You don't want to do that. You want to go way past comfort, way past I'm good. And you want to make such an impact in the world where, like, if you guys heard Dan, who was just talking, if you heard him talk about, he broke the Guinness World Book of Records for a toy drive just now, right? And why not play at that level? Like, I actually think it's selfish to not make a lot of money. I think it's selfish to not learn how to drive your gear at that level and break all of the talk over your life. You know, the talk over your life, like, oh, it's not all about money. Yeah, well, tell that to the kids that got the toy drive. And it wasn't just Dan's money, it's Dan's ability to lead and to speak to other people with authority, and to, when something breaks, land on his feet like a cat, right? That's leadership. I've seen people, how many of you guys have made good money before and you throw money at stuff and it doesn't fix it? Money fixes a lot of problems. It does fix a lot of problems, but it doesn't fix your leadership. Excuse me. Money fixes a lot of problems. But there are many times when I was growing my business where I'd throw money and say, just teach me how to do a webinar or teach me how to do a challenge. And it doesn't work, right? Anybody been in that situation? Like you bought the course and it didn't work. But it does work if you've seen other people be successful with it. And you got to stop. You got to, in my opinion, you can do whatever you want, but I really recommend you stop blaming that it doesn't fit your business or it doesn't fit your idea or it doesn't fit you. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Like, am I being clear that you can hear? You want to stop pretending like the courses don't work. And you want to grab a hold of it and grab your power back and say, you know what? Go to joinhclnow.com, take that workshop. I'm going to explain what it is. But I can unwind a life worth of mess for you early next year. We're completely sold out of the January one, but you can jump into, I think we have one in February. You don't need to know what the dates are, because if you can't move something, you're probably not that ready. So just go to March. You know what I mean? Like, you see this lackadaisical thing? Like, you got to grab a hold of it and drive it. But I have a training almost every year next year. Okay. And so we had thousands of people go through it this year. Not that that matters for you, but those thousands, when I look in my entrepreneurial space, it's my clients that have done leadership that make the most amount of money. And I think in 2023, it's really important for you to make the most amount of money. No more I'm tired. No more I'm getting in my head. No more I procrastinate. No more I feel isolation or alone. No more of that. Like, are you guys ready to lose that and to get way ahead? Do you want to get way ahead in 2023? What if you're 60 years old already? Great. My mom just did this training, 70, 73 or 74. And she said, everybody in our family needs to do this training. It took her 13 years to take my advice to go in this training. I didn't own the training when I started enrolling my mom in this training. She wasted 13 years of her life not getting her ass in this training. Okay, so what is it? It's 3 parts. Part number 1 is vision. You can do this virtually. It's a virtual training. You can't work when you do it. My point is you gotta give this to yourself as a Christmas gift. Okay? Vision is a 3-day virtual training. It's all day long. And basically imagine you're in a shell. I like to imagine I'm in an egg. When I actually did my first infomercial online, which I never would have done if I wouldn't have done leadership, I would have been too scared, right? I would have placed myself in the category of not ready. And so imagine being able to unleash and say, I want to do this, and stop making up this hold back. Like, you stop holding yourself back, you just unleash. So I did this infomercial and I realized I lived in a bubble called my life. The way I speak attracts people like you, but there's people not like you that when I did an infomercial, I got a whole nother crew that lives on this planet that I definitely don't want to hang out with. My point is that as you start to break your bubble, there's yes, what I don't want, there's yes, what you want to let go of, but there's also, wow, there's more to this world than I ever thought was possible. It's like giving a free canvas. If you're an artist, it's like this being plain and going, I could create whatever I wanted. Imagine in 2023 saying, I can create whatever I want, and you actually have the power to do it. So that's vision. Vision is like cracking holes in the egg, and the egg is splitting. The second part is breakthrough. Breakthrough is 4 days, and I believe whoever you train with next year, whether it's me or somebody else, you will become their success story. We have a 99% success story. My clients who go through this training, 99% of them, not over one program, over 3 years, this is our average. 99% of our clients. So don't tell me I've done things in the past and it doesn't work. And by the way, if you've done Landmark, it's nothing compared to this. And I mean that with complete love. It is not even close. Landmark is in your head. This is 100% experiential. I have no issue saying that. My husband did both of them. He had not changed through Landmark other than intellect, knowing what he should do. This breaks it open. Like, my girlfriend had PTSD. She'd been going to therapy for, God, I think it was like 10 years. She went through this, gone, right? You want to make, I can't give you an income claim. But what I can say is in the 3rd level, if you want to take your year's worth of income goal and put it in the 3rd level in practice, go for it. I'm not scared. I'm not scared to have you coach to hit that year-long income goal in practice. Why? Because once you've done vision and breakthrough, these are workshops, intensives that you do virtually online. Okay, 3 days and 4 days, 3 days and 4 days, vision breakthrough. When you're done that, when we put you in the container of practice, which is 90 days, this is where you test the program and you put up a mega goal, like not a little goal, a mega goal. Write that down, mega goal, right? You put up a mega goal. And because you're so primed in your leadership here, you've forgotten that you're not capable. You've forgotten about the problems in your life. You're like ready to go. And we take that energy and that fuel and we put it here to a mega goal and we go after it 100% in. The biggest mistake you could make in this program is to not play big enough. Meaning that you should take the goal that scares the heck out of you. What's your mega goal right now, you guys? Everybody put down what your mega goal is in the comment section. Go put, what's your mega goal right now, right? Put that down. And so that's the one. That's the one that you want to test us on, right? Like, if we have a 99% success rate in this program, $500,000, awesome, Catherine, let's go, right? 1 million plus a year. Don't say plus, pick one, right? I can do $1 million in a day. Okay, I can do $1 million in a day, right? This is all leadership. My friend was with Jesse Isler and Sarah Blakely, and he said, I'm going to raise $100,000. And Jesse said, I raised $1 million this month. He was like, woo, he was a little scared. He did it, right? Like, look at Dan's mentality today. We're gonna break the Guinness World Book record. They do it. It's like, I think we're gonna do it next year. And then he corrected himself immediately. He's like, we're gonna do it. But you know he's gonna do it because he's used to things not working and him figuring out how to restructure the win. See, winning is just about practicing your leadership to restructure the win. You hit it no matter what. There's no excuses. There's no a bad economy. Like, this is such an important workshop for you to do on joinhclnow.com. It's so, and if you've done it already, you guys, if you've already done it, you know somebody that you should be telling about this deal. There's two opportunities to be able to go to joinhclnow.com. If you go to that page, you'll see I discounted the price from $5,000 down to $2,400. With that $2,400, we will sit with you and develop a business plan for 2023. Okay, you get a one-on-one session for the one pay of $2,400. So $5,000 down to $2,400 if you go to joinhclnow.com. Now, if you're in a position where you're like, Shanda, I just can't afford $2,400, I would say figure it out today, like in the next 30 minutes. Don't even give yourself a day to figure it out, the next 30 minutes. But if you need me to finance it for you, I also have a 3-pay on the page. So I can break it up into 3 payments on the page. So if you go to joinhclnow.com, there's the one pay for $2,400, down from $5,000 to $2,400. My gift to you. I mean, go find a program that you can do a 3-day workshop, a 4-day workshop, and then test it to be able to create the result, the mega goal that you want for $2,400. It doesn't exist out there, right? So we're gonna coach you for the first half of next year, and we're gonna put your main mega goal on the line. If you just did this goal, that's what you should be thinking. If I just did this goal in 2023, my God, it would be a great year. Like, that's how you need to play in the gain of the vision, right? Dan Fleischman goes for the vision, so do I. So here's the thing, Dan added in the 100M trainings, so you're gonna get access to that. I added in, January 3rd, I'm gonna spend a whole day going through money plans, which means I will talk to you directly. We're gonna get on Zoom, and you can voyeur, you can listen to me do everybody else's plans, but I promise you that I will do yours too. So I'm gonna sit on that freaking Zoom, even if it's 10 hours long, and I'm gonna do a money plan for everyone. Like, guys, 2023's gotta be your year. It's gotta be your year, and you gotta take it seriously. It's gotta be your year. You can't let, you wanna do this program, you wanna sign up this program, and you wanna put yourself in a position where you're like, I feel good that I just prioritized me, and I know that I'm going into this training. So you feel safe, you feel secure, you feel good, right? You have the construction to be able to, the structure to be able to take you forward. Now, I know that many people have done things in the past and haven't won. Wipe it off. Wipe it off you. You know what I mean? Like, if 99% of the people who've done this program have won, they've hit their mega goal, whatever they put up in the 3rd level practice, then why not you? Right? Why would you say you're going to be part of the 1% that doesn't make it? You don't, you know what I mean? Don't even do that to yourself, but you gotta win early in 2023. You don't want to see this window close because your procrastination, your perfectionism, you're getting in your head. All that shit isn't gone because you journaled. It's gone because you've done vision breakthrough and we put a mega goal into practice. So I hope that you treat yourself good this Christmas holiday and you give yourself permission to win. I know I can help you. The question is will you give me a chance? And so we've hooked you up. You've got lots of bonuses. This 100M bonus, I'm going to give you 30 minutes. Anybody who purchases after the 30 minutes, I'm not going to give that bonus to. So it's time to process and make a decision. So go to joinhclnow.com. I'm going to give you 30 minutes. Everybody who's already jumped in, you've got this. We're going to hook you up with the 100M trainings. That's what I spend $100,000 for. It puts you in a position where you sit at the table with the same people I do, and you can focus and study 18 minutes a day if you want, or binge it. And I'm telling you, I know you're going to get the right advice, because these are people that most people will never get access to unless you can cut the checks for either their charities or to be able to get into the 100M group. We're going to give you all of that advice in the 100M Academy, 100% as a give for you guys who take your leadership seriously. Because here's the deal. You can watch and get every piece of advice you want. If you can't follow through, you're not going to do anything with it. So it's time to prioritize you. You got 29 minutes left. The 29 minutes, I will gift you the 100M bonus for everybody who jumped in. And you guys, I know, don't blow up customer care for you guys who already jumped in last week. We got you. Suzanne's already writing her notes. She's got it all organized. Trust me, she organizes every detail of everything. She knows who you are. You're tagged, you're good. She's gonna make sure you guys get the training. But everybody who's sitting on the fence, you always want to know how. How do I create the business I want? How do I, grow a business? How do I grow a social media following? How do I be a better parent? How do I invest in cryptocurrency? How do I, right? And then you sit you at the table and be given the advice, and then you battle not taking it. And there's every reason why you don't take the advice. You got to become the type of leader. Go to joinhclnow.com. You got to become the type of leader that when someone gives you advice that knows what they're talking about, you become their greatest success story. That's what I want for you today. So we're closing down our lives. I'm going on Christmas holiday break. I'm not going to be going live unless it's an impromptu live. We'll hit January strong on January 2nd. We'll come back strong. We have a really great content strategy plan for you in January, but I want you to be able to take my lives and do something with it. And that's why I need you to go to joinhclnow.com. You need you to go to joinhclnow.com. I'm sure the first half of the year is going to be sold out from last week, and today it's going to be sold out. We won't have any spots available for the first half of next year, but I will tell you this. I'm raising the price back up. It's going to go to $5,000. This is my Christmas gift to you. Give it to yourself. All right, you guys, so much love for you. I'm going to stop the live online, and I'm actually going to take a couple of questions here for some of the people who are on the Zoom with us.